Week 3 in the books. I've been having honestly a lot of trouble walking through the streets of New York because my team went absolutely berserk and everyone's like, dude, teach us everything about fantasy. And I'm like, guys, let me just live. Let me just live. Girls, dude, my phone has been blowing up. Look at that. They can't stop. They can't stop. Anyway, not about my team, but did I have Dak? Yeah, whatever. Did I have Juwan Jennings starting? Yeah, I did have Juwan Jennings starting. Does that make me a legend? No. Did I have Saquon also? Yes. Does that make me a legend? No. Jets defense. I'll keep going if I have to. Terry McLaurin even. They said give up on Terry McLaurin. I said, nah. But this Juwan Jennings, low-key so sick. Anyway, okay, enough about me. There were teams that went off here, and I think the best way to summarize week 3 for y'all and the way this league's positioned, Paco Libre. 13 minutes before this filming, damn, there's 2 Pee-wees in the top 3, 3 in the top 5, 4 in the top 10. Main leaguers better step it up. That's what's happening. That summarizes this league pretty well from where I'm sitting as well. So let's see how things unfold. But at this point, let's just go into the biggest performer this week. Because everyone's talking about Chef Cesario and his performance. And my gosh, I mean, coming into this league, I said he's basically my team. He's top 3. And that's really where things fell. He also has Dak and Saquon. There's a lot to say about both these players. Saquon in a redraft, I don't know how he doesn't go 1. Honestly, I think he's the best fantasy option moving forward. Obviously, he needs to be healthy, but I don't know why he went 12 this year, and that's why I was so amazed when I got him at 12 also. I don't know in this league. Actually, it could have been 11. I don't know exactly where, but it's just such an established offense that loves running the ball, gets in great positions, the most talented running back in the NFL, in my opinion. I think he's here to stay. As long as he's healthy, he's here to stay. So that's Saquon. Dak, on the other hand, didn't do well until the fourth quarter. I still think there's a reason to be a little bit concerned with him and CD's connection, but I'm going to keep rolling him out because I think he's good enough. Anyway, you add on to that team Alvin Kamara, who's going to also in a redraft, easily a first-rounder, and your running back situation is incredible. This guy goes Juwan Jennings also, very similar to me, had Debo, missed him, goes Juwan Jennings, fantastic pickup. I mean, we talk about big leaguers, Pee-wees. The way this guy's managing the team, I mean, obviously I'm very, very biased because it's my team, and he did the exact same thing as me. But the way he's managing the team, the Juwan Jennings spot start, I mean, he's easily the front runner right now and the best performer so far. Again, I'm assuming gender, but if you guys have a girl in your league, please tell me so I can be more PC. But he, right now, to my understanding, unbelievable. And deserves all the credit. I gave him top 3 going into the year, and I now have him at top 1 if I were to update it. Am I a little bit concerned with some of the pieces on this team? Like when Debo comes back, if Juwan Jennings is more involved, does Debo take a slight step back? I don't know. A.J. Brown and Kenneth Walker both hurt. Hopefully they come back soon and are fine. But the fact that this team puts up over 200 points, despite the injury concerns, the entire recap should be about Team Chef Cesario. It should be all about Team Chef Cesario. If I'm mispronouncing it also, please let me know. Cesario. Remarkable. Good effort. Well done. And he hands the first loss over to a team that Banditos. Not a horrible week for Banditos. I mean, Lamar Jackson gets him a big week. Monty gives him a big week. And keep in mind, Monty, one of the better value picks this year, given that Gibbs was picked so high and Monty's just as involved, if not even more. Amon-Ra, a pretty solid week. Olave, a pretty solid week. Josh Jacobs, disappointing. But, I mean, with Malik in there, no one expect him to be incredible. The real story here, Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews, 0. Only 1 target. What do you do in that situation? I honestly don't know. You also got 0 from your kicker, but I'm less concerned about that. What do you do with Mark Andrews? Please don't ask me because I actually don't have the answer. I was upset I didn't get him in the draft because he fell so much. And I'm like, oh, he fell so much. It means something's up. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's still recovering from the injury. I don't know if Likely's involvement. But even Likely's hit or miss. So I'm a little bit concerned for this team and their tight end situation. And tight end is we can't understate. Tight ends are important. So this week it didn't matter, but in most weeks, getting 0 from your tight end and kicker, that's from 140 to like 170, and that's a gigantic difference. That puts you from a tier of like solid to very good. So that's where Team that Banditos is at. Team that Banditos is a team I thought was above average coming into it. I think 2-1 is the perfect record for both these teams. When it comes to my expectations preseason, what we've seen, these two teams are exactly where I expect them to be after 3 weeks. Then it gets a little bit trickier. Untouchables goes to 0-3. This is a team that I ranked near the bottom, so actually it does align with that. This was a game where no one really deserved to win, and both teams coming into it 0-2, it kind of made sense. For untouchable balls, I mean, you're in a situation where, I'd say one of the better pieces on your team coming to the season, Jalen Waddle, is downgraded. It was a great benching by you, honestly, for Jalen Waddle. But then again, the guys you turned to just didn't perform for you. Devontae Smith getting hurt is completely BS. Cheap hit could have cost you the week because there was still more time in that game. Devontae could have gotten you some more points. Then Mike Evans and Jameson Williams just disappoint you. That's what I said about Jameson coming into the season. I think there are boom weeks and I think there are bust weeks. And here's a bust week. That's why I avoided him personally. Although obviously he's going to have his good weeks as well, as you've already seen. Now, Mike Evans, first bad week, 3 targets, really didn't make any sense. That whole game for the Bucs didn't really make any sense. So I'm not concerned with him. And again, the highlights here are you still get Kyren performing incredibly well. J.K. Dobbins, not a great game, but very involved. He just does need Herbert in that offense to make it good enough to justify the start. I still think this team is not horrible. I think 0-3 might have been where I predicted to be a not great team, but I still think it's a team that's going to win games. I don't think it's like a horrible team. So I'm expecting a little bit better times ahead, although I still don't think this is really a contender. Certainly far from done chaining a team like this. Pain Train goes to 1-2. Didn't perform that much better. Only 4 points more. And the concern here is Tyreek Hill you're seeing continue to struggle with this offense without Tua. And I think he'll have better weeks, but that's very frustrating. Super, super frustrating for Tyreek. Zamir White, as I warned before the season, just not a great running back and not on a great offense. And then T. Higgins just got back from the injury. I actually like that he got 6 targets. I like that he played almost every snap, and I think he's going to have good weeks ahead, so I'm not concerned there. The highlights. Malik Neighbors goes off. He's the real deal. Derrick Henry, the real deal. Proves to be a good point. Rashid Shaheed had an off week. So did the whole offense. I would give him another week. Kincaid had a good week, so I'm happy there. And then A-Rich, also another guy that is going to have the off weeks because he has a strong arm, but it just doesn't perform enough. I don't know personally how you go Anthony Richardson over Jaden Daniels this week. I thought it was super clear that Jaden Daniels was a better fantasy quarterback going into the week. And I think moving forward, you have to go there until Anthony Richardson proves some consistency. So that's the only criticism I really have is I think at the quarterback position, you need to make that change. So we will see if you do that, how that changes the vibes of your team. Right now, it feels like a 1-2 team, and it is a 1-2 team. And you got kind of lucky to get this win, too. So we'll see what happens there. On the flip side, we went with Jared and El Granas, both 2-1 after we went with Jared gets his second win, handing El Granas the first loss. El Granas, a team, again, 4th overall. I ranked preseason 2-1 makes a lot of sense for this team. And I said, for this team, quarterback and tight end is where I think it's not ideal. And between those two positions, you got about 10 points this week. So weird alignment as to the preseason thing. But again, we know that Cooper Kupp's out for this team, and that was a big piece of the team. Could have made the difference this week because you got running back production, Gibbs and Jonathan Taylor. Wide receivers where you had to start a guy like JSN. I don't know who you would have benched between JSN and McLaurin, but if it was JSN and you sub that in for Kupp, you probably win this week with a good Kupp week. McLaurin obviously had a good week as we spoke about, so I expect him to be better this season, although maybe not that. His targets and catches are still not that high. But ultimately, this is a team that feels like a 2-1 team. So we're continuing to stick around the trend as to where I ranked preseason to where you are now. We went with Jared as a team that I put also near the top at 2. So 2-1 or 3-0, both would make sense to me. I think for this team, obviously a big win, and this is a team that is performing at almost full strength. I mean, Njoku's hurt, but Kelsey would be starting for you anyway, I would assume, although he has another off week. For this team, there are areas of concern. You have some old pieces that I don't know how they're going to bode. I mean, Devontae Adams, 7 points, Travis Kelsey, 6 points. Both guys I could see having good weeks, but are they going to be the weekly performers they used to be? Probably not. And then Odunze had a good week for you. I give you credit. I would not have played him probably this week. They threw 50-something passes, so he's going to benefit from that. But with Keenan Allen coming back, Kmet getting more involved, is that a weekly starter? I don't know. I'm not as concerned with Stevenson getting you 0.3 again. He's still going to be the guy. And it's promising to see Aaron Jones have a better week. So I think for this team, with the win, you have to feel better. I don't think you get discouraged on anything outside of what you already knew, which is Devontae Adams and Kelsey are both old, and we'll see what happens with them. But ultimately, good team, should be 2-1, expect to be 2-1. Actually, I low-key cooked with these rankings preseason up to this point. And I feel like no team has really proven so much otherwise. Some small shifts, but really, I mean, going to these 2 last matchups, I feel good about it. So let's see if that sticks. The team I ranked last was Dust in the Wind. And someone called Dust in the Wind out for saying, I don't think they can hang in the big leagues. And another team that I really didn't see it coming into the season. And let's see why that was. I didn't feel the wide receiver group. This week, the wide receiver group told you about 30 points. Really bad for 3 wide receivers. Really, really bad. So for this team, I mean, Rashad White was the RB concern, and he is underperforming. I think Bijan's going to have even bigger weeks. I think Etienne's going to have even bigger weeks. I think it's great to see Goddard performing really well. But again, it comes back to the wide receiver group, and I'm not convinced still. I still think there's a bottom tier team because it's a 3 wide receiver league. And this team's not strong enough. So I'm leaving Dustin Lewin near the bottom. I hope, because people are trash talking him, I hope he proves himself otherwise. But right now, I just do not see it. Where I was wrong. We've been patting my back this entire recap. Where was I wrong? Crucifier. Coming to the week 0-2, the team I ranked first overall. But they get their first win, which is good to see. Although I'm not going to be giving you any round of applause anytime soon, because while we see Jamar Chase have his first big week, which obviously helps your team a ton, this running back group is not looking good. First of all, you bench Garrett Wilson. I can't understand that personally. Ayuk is looking worse than Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson's a start over Ayuk until he proves otherwise. Maybe you were thinking the other guys are out. You didn't see the Jauan Jennings game coming. Okay, but you have really 5 good receivers, and your running backs are not looking great. James Conner, DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift, I think, is a must abort right now until he proves otherwise. Roschon Johnson, very involved. I think James Conner, you could keep leaning on, hoping that he does better. I support that. But it's a team that needs a running back. So you better make a trade for a running back. Let me leave a note for myself. Just to remind myself. Because I ranked you first, but I anticipated moves would be made. Let's get RB. And no, people should be hitting you up because you have so many wide receivers. DeAndre Swift is not a starting running back right now. Please make that move. Don't make me look bad. I put my faith in you, and you're making me look bad. So please help me out. But yeah, you go to 1-2. I think, again, the way you perform so far, I think 1-2 makes sense. But I still have faith in this team. Definitely wouldn't rank you first overall on a re-rank, but that's where you are right now. Electric goes to 2-1. Electric is a team that I ranked near the middle coming into the season. And 2-1 is a little bit above my expectations, and it's well earned at this point. I mean, obviously last week we had some criticism, but this week, I mean, James Cook, Breece Hall, give me a better running back group. It might be hard to find. It might be hard to find. I hate starting Jerry Jeudy and Amari Cooper both, but Amari rewards you with a good performance. So the question is, why was Jerry Jeudy starting? And I still think wide receiver 3 has some work to be done because Keenan Allen, Jordan Addison, I don't really trust. Joe Mixon, you could slot into the flex now that Eckler's hurt and Mixon will be healthy. The wide receiver 3 spot, I still don't love. That's the only hole on this team. It's why I think a 2-1 team that could be very good is still slightly short of my top tier team conversation. For Al Professor, you get a loss here that, coming to the league, I said you'd be the 8th team. You're 1-2, makes sense. All right, so I really killed it with most of these things. But anyway, I don't know, man. I don't really know what to do with this team because you have guys that I still want to praise. Laporta, CeeDee Lamb, I still think they're going to be very good. Laporta, I feel like with the low ankle sprain, they should just bench him because he has a bye in 2 weeks. So if they do that, then that's going to hurt you for a couple weeks. But then he's going to come back, and I think he'll be more involved. I think CeeDee's going to still have a great rest of season. I wouldn't sell him at any point. So with those, I'm not really concerned about. Calvin Ridley, obviously very concerned about that offense, and D-Hop was even more involved, so I don't know what to do with that. Jordan Mason, though, a great plug-in. I think HN has a better week. I still think there's going to be a team that's going to be able to compete even more than what I pre-ranked because the Mason edition was so big. But it's a team that's like, what do you do with them? I don't really know. I'm hoping that they have better weeks ahead. I think ultimately they definitely might. There still haven't been any trades in this league, by the way, so I'm very curious to see what happens there. But ultimately, after this point, no one is really, Team Cesario definitely exceeded expectation. I think PB people objectively are exceeding expectations, but no one has done anything crazy to shake anything up. I think right now the preseason ranking that I still feel very similarly about most teams. So it's time to shake up the league. Let's see if there's any trades. I will see you all next week.